Late afternoon sunlight filtered softly through the tall living room windows, spreading a warm golden glow across the quiet house. On the carpet beside the sofa, a small girl knelt carefully, her movements slow and focused. She wore an oversized white shirt that looked almost like a doctor's coat, the sleeves folded twice at the wrists. A pale headband held back her light brown hair, and around her neck hung a small plastic stethoscope from a toy medical kit. Her name was Lily Whitaker. Lily pressed the toy stethoscope gently against the chest of the woman lying on a pillow beside the couch. The woman's eyes were closed, but the corners of her mouth carried the faintest smile, as if she was enjoying the game. Lily spoke softly, almost in a whisper. "Your heart is safe," she said slowly. Near the doorway stood a tall man in a navy suit. His shoulders were broad, but they seemed to carry an invisible weight. His name was Daniel Whitaker. Daniel was known across the city as a wealthy businessman. People said he had built his fortune through patience, long nights of work, and an unbreakable will. But anyone who looked closely at his face in that quiet moment would notice something else. A father's worry. Daniel watched his daughter with careful attention. Lily did not look up. She rarely did when she was focused on something. Her world often existed in quiet corners where noise and conversation felt overwhelming. For many years, Daniel had been told the same thing by doctors. "Your daughter is autistic." At first, those words had frightened him. Not because Lily was different, but because he feared he might never understand how to reach her. So Daniel had done what he always did when faced with a challenge. He used his resources. His influence. His determination. He traveled across the country meeting specialists. Neurologists. Therapists. Researchers with long titles and complicated explanations. He built therapy rooms in his home. He purchased expensive learning programs. He funded research foundations. He spent a fortune. But Lily remained. Lily. Quiet. Gentle. Living in her own thoughtful rhythm. And yet, Daniel often felt something no doctor could explain. When Lily looked at someone with her soft, steady gaze, there was a depth there. A calm awareness. Almost as if she understood people in ways words could not capture. Still, Daniel kept searching. He kept hoping for a cure. Months earlier, a new housemaid had joined the Whitaker home. Her name was Grace Holloway. Grace was in her early 50s, with kind eyes and calm movements. She had spent most of her life caring for other families, raising children that were not her own, and bringing quiet order to busy homes. She was not a therapist. She was not a doctor. But she had raised 3 children of her own, and she carried something far more valuable than professional titles. Patience. And wisdom that came from living a long life. Grace noticed Lily's routines almost immediately. The way the girl liked to line up colored blocks carefully in perfect rows. The way she hummed quietly when she felt calm. The way she sometimes covered her ears when loud sounds appeared suddenly. But Grace noticed something else too. Lily watched people very carefully. Especially when they thought no one was looking. One afternoon, while polishing the dining table, Grace quietly observed Lily sitting on the floor with her toy doctor kit. A house assistant named Margaret, who worked part-time, had been lying on the carpet pretending to be a patient. Lily listened with the toy stethoscope. Very slowly. Very carefully. Then Lily had said the same gentle sentence. "Your heart is safe." Grace felt a strange warmth in her chest when she heard those words. Not because of the toy game. But because of the way Lily said them. As if she meant them. That evening, Grace found Daniel sitting alone in the kitchen, staring down at a folder filled with medical reports. The kitchen lights were dim. The house was quiet. Grace poured him a cup of tea and placed it near his hand. Daniel looked up with tired eyes. "Thank you, Grace." He sighed slowly. "I just want her to have a normal life." Grace sat quietly for a moment before speaking. "You love your daughter very much," she said gently. Daniel nodded. "I've spent years trying to help her." Grace smiled softly. "I can see that." She paused. "But may I ask you something?" Daniel looked up. "Of course." Grace folded her hands calmly. Have you ever asked Lily what she thinks? Daniel blinked. She doesn't always explain things clearly. Grace nodded. That's true. But she shows things. Daniel leaned back slightly, unsure where the conversation was going. Grace continued softly. I've watched her closely these past months. She studies people. She notices when someone is sad or tired. She brings them little things, toys, pillows, her doctor kit. Daniel thought about that. Grace looked toward the living room. Today she told Margaret that her heart was safe. Daniel's eyebrows lifted slightly. She says that often when she plays doctor. Grace nodded. Yes. She paused again. But have you noticed when she says it? Daniel was silent. Grace's voice became even gentler. She says it when someone looks worried. Daniel's expression slowly changed. For a moment, he remembered all the times Lily had quietly approached him during stressful evenings. She would place the toy stethoscope against his chest. And say those same words. Your heart is safe. Daniel had always assumed it was simply a child's game. But suddenly, something felt different. Grace smiled kindly. Mr. Whitaker, perhaps Lily doesn't need to be cured. Daniel said nothing. Grace continued softly. Perhaps she is already doing what she was meant to do. That night, Daniel could not sleep. He walked quietly into the living room around midnight. The moonlight fell gently across the floor. Lily had left her toy doctor kit on the carpet. Daniel picked up the small plastic stethoscope. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to ask a question he had avoided. What if Lily was not broken? What if she simply experienced the world in a different, deeper way? The next afternoon, something small but beautiful happened. Grace had been cleaning the hallway when she heard Lily humming softly. In the living room, Daniel was sitting on the carpet beside his daughter. No phone. No paperwork. Just sitting. Lily placed the toy stethoscope against his chest. Daniel smiled. Well, Dr. Lily, how does it sound? Lily listened carefully. Then she nodded. Your heart is safe. Daniel laughed softly, but there were tears in his eyes. Thank you, sweetheart. Grace watched quietly from the hallway. She understood something Daniel was just beginning to learn. Sometimes love does not need fixing. Sometimes it simply needs understanding. Over the following months, Daniel slowly changed his approach. The expensive therapy rooms were still there. But now the house also had quiet corners filled with art supplies, puzzles, and music. Daniel stopped asking how to change Lily. Instead, he asked how to support her. And Lily began to open in gentle ways. She still spoke softly. She still loved order and calm. But she also showed remarkable empathy. She could sense when someone felt anxious. She would bring them a pillow or a small toy. And always, the toy stethoscope. Years later, Daniel often told people a simple truth. The person who helped me understand my daughter wasn't a doctor. He would smile warmly. It was a housemaid with a kind heart. Grace always laughed when she heard him say that. I didn't do much, she would reply. But Daniel knew better. Sometimes the most powerful wisdom arrives quietly. Like afternoon sunlight through a window. Like a child whispering gentle words. Your heart is safe. And for Daniel Whitaker, those words had finally brought peace. Not because his daughter had changed. But because he had learned to see the quiet beauty that had been there all along.